What is going on, people? We have an incredibly filthy workshop that we need to clean up. It's going to take a bit of time, because once we get that figured out, then we can get our car up on the jack stands and figure out what we need to do before our very first race meet coming up in just a few weeks. So let's get this place cleaned up and see what we need to do to this car. Alright, so first things first, we have all this stuff here we need to sort out. Bikes, tyres, everything, and then we need to move on to this workbench over here because it is a complete mess. So we'll be sorting all that out and just tidying that up because we have some projects we need to do on this car, and that stuff is sitting up here. Lots to do. We've got a bit of work we need to get done, so we'll hop to it. I might put up a bit of a time lapse and show you guys what it takes to clean up this thing, because that workbench has been neglected for far too long and we have too much junk in this workshop, so we need to clean it up. Okay, so our floor space next to our car is pretty much all tidy, nice and clean. A few things over here I just need to sort out. Obviously, got our jack stands, jerry cans, our fuel, air compressor. We've got our drill press there that we need to figure out what we're going to do with. A few other odds and ends that we're still sorting out. Some of this stuff I don't want to pack up just yet because we'll need it in a couple of weeks. Like the stands, they'll stay there because I'll take them to the track. Jerry cans will be full of fuel for the track. This black strip of nylon, that's actually for a project that I'm going to be doing on the trailer, just a small little project. So I've just got it there trying to flatten it out. Hopefully I don't need to do it, I just want it as flat as possible for this project. That'll be going inside the dustpan, and then in here's got just some batteries and some stuff for some 12-volt tools. We'll get that taken care of, but other than that, this side's nice and clean. Now we're moving on to that mess, and that's going to take me a while, and just as I say that, it's starting to rain. Beautiful timing. Put on some music, enjoy the weather, and start cleaning.
Trying patience, it's time to take a chance on whatever
Workbench is nice and clear now, just got the necessities, bit of paperwork up here. Gotta have the radio for music when I'm working. 12-volt battery charger. I use this battery charger probably more than any other charger because I love my Milwaukee 12-volt tools. They are awesome. Bug spray, because behind this building is a bunch of trees, and the amount of spiders and cockroaches and ants you get in here is crazy. So we have that. Oil, before we do our next oil change, because my oil is not actually in a normal size jug, it is in a barrel, so we'll need to get those to measure it out. Pepsi Max, can't go wrong. High density foam, just got sitting up here. If you are building a car, that stuff there is amazing. You can fix up little gaps between things with a little bit of high density foam. Just a few drill bits, wheel nuts there, tags when we do our engine, a bunch of things here and there, and a few odds and ends here that I just need to find a place for. So now we're pretty much good to go. Keep that place nice and tidy. I do have our toolkit down here straightening out our black nylon, so hopefully that straightens out nicely very, very shortly. Alright, so now comes time to figuring out what we need to do to this car for the first race meet. So we'll jack it up, get it cleared off. I do have a bunch of stuff up here. These are for a project we will be doing in the future. So I just went and collected all the items that I will be needing for it, hopefully make life much easier for us at the track. So all we have to do now is pull this cover off, jack it up. First thing I want to do is check out the front brake pads. When I took it out for the first time, I had a set of WinMax W4s in there. They were used, thanks to Jason Hannigan from XL Cup for Hannigan Motorsports. He gave those to us to use. So I dare say they'll be shot. And we will need some new front brake pads. So we'll check those out and see which direction we want to go, because there is a multitude of different pads we could use. Finding the right one is always difficult. So we'll get to that now. Okay, well, surprisingly, there's still a bit of meat left on these pads. So if we look in here, you can see some of the meat left on there. So the rotors look all right, no cracks. So that tells me one thing. Because those pads are, I mean, they're getting close. That's telling me one thing. Just wasn't going hard enough on the brakes. Maybe I could have just pushed a little bit harder and really brought this thing to a stop, which again, go harder into corners, hit the brakes. You don't want to lock the tyres up. But if we can modulate that brake pedal and really use those brakes, we go faster. So now I have a decision to make, because I really don't think those brake pads are going to last another race meet. So I could get another set of W4s, WinMax 4s, and stick those in. Or the other option is to go for something a little bit more bitey. yeah, I don't know. Intima have a new brake pad out, the RR, which is a new brake pad made specifically for time attack, circuit racing, things like that, hard on the brakes. In the past, Intima have had a bit of a reputation of the brake pads wearing out very, very quickly. I believe this new brake pad is to counteract that, is now got a compound, it's a carbon metallic compound, so it's a bit more hard wearing. Do I go for that, or do I stick with the WinMax, which has been somewhat proven? I'm not sure. We'll wait and see. But for the meantime, I need to figure out which brake pad to go to, because those are actually pretty good at the moment. You probably want to change them sometime soon though. Just to clarify, guys, those pads, a lot of people say, oh, there's hardly any meat left on them. They were already used when I put them in the car to take the car out for the first time. And so they're already probably 2/3 used. So I stuck them in for the track day. But knowing that we'll be doing more laps, harder racing, I think it's probably best we stick a new set of pads in there. Even if I keep those in there for the first practice, for the practice before the race meet, and swap them out, we can. But they won't get us to a race meet. So first thing on our list to do is brake pads. 1. Brake pads. Okay, so now that we know we need new brake pads and our brake rotors are fine, the next thing that will help us stop is tyres. And unfortunately, even though these ones here are probably perfectly fine to use, because I used them last time out, they are not actually the control tyre that we use for the series, even though they almost look exactly like the new Dunlop compound that we'll be using for X3 series, or Series X3. If you look at this, it's pretty much the same tread pattern, but this is actually a Vetour Tempesta Enzo. Now, a lot of people here in Australia will say, why are you running those? Well, simple fact is that when I was building this car up in Townsville, there was a business up there that was setting up all the XL drivers with tyres, and they happened to be the Vetour Tempesta Enzo. And to be perfectly honest, they're not a bad tyre. They're pretty grippy. They are radial, but yeah, for my first time out, they weren't too bad. Not the stickiest tyre getting around. You really had to actually get them a bit warm, but wear-wise, they're not too bad. And like I said, the Dunlop have pretty much the same tread pattern. The new Dunlop tyre that Series X3 are using has pretty much got the same tread pattern as this. The older Dunlop that was used in Track Attack up here a couple of years ago, they had a different tread pattern on the Dunlops. And again, the Nankangs that Track Attack use up here in Queensland are different again. In fact, this here is the Nankang tread for the tyres they use in Track Attack up here in Queensland, which is vastly different to that than the Dunlop, which again, this is not a Dunlop. Before everyone jumps down my throat, it is a Vetour, but the tread pattern is pretty much exactly the same, apart from a few dimples down the side. The Dunlop is very, very similar to this, but you can see the difference between the two. The Nankang is a very, very grippy tyre. So, yeah, the reason why I have these is because after the last race meet, Jason Hannigan from Hannigan Motorsports. So here you have this older set of Nankangs to practice on if we need to. So got those there sitting there waiting, but these are tyres we cannot use anymore. So once I get the new race tyres, I don't know if I'll go for an older set of Federals or I'll get a new set of the Dunlops. Not sure yet. These, I believe, are still good to use, but my friend Garrett McDouling, who got me down here for teaching, these will probably be going to him for his car, so he can use them for hill climbs and practice days, and get him out on track until he starts racing. So what we'll do now is just give these rims a bit of a clean up because they're a bit filthy, and stick them back on the car. Alright, so number 2 on our list is tyres. Done. Alright, so the next job we need to figure out is how we're going to mount this front bar. Now if you look very closely there, it should be a piece of plastic in between, right there where my finger is, to create that hole. Now it's been torn out, so when we were on track, the bolt that was holding it all in and up into the body like that actually came out and was flopping around. So we have to figure out a way now to really reattach that so it stays up there nicely. I do have a bit of a plan if I can make it all work. That's the tape that was holding it up there while we're at the track. So I don't know if you can see. There's the bolt there. It's actually pulled right through. So the plan is we make a bit of a bracket that sits up in here, and then try and bolt it through the actual bar at the front, and I'll do it to both sides to make it even, I think. Even if we just put like a countersink bolt there and just use a few cart parts or something and get it up there nice and neatly so it stays up there and doesn't come off while we're on track, because the last thing I want is this whole front bar just torn off and flopping around. So that is job number 3 for our list. Front bar. Okay, so the next item that we have to sort out before we take this car out is actually our airbox, because technically the top of this airbox cannot be touching the frame of the car. That is considered part of the engine bay, so it's got to be cut back. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll just trim it back through there, or if I have enough time, I might consider just fabbing up a whole new airbox for this. See how we go. But in the meantime, all we can do is we can trim this back straight across there, and that'll get us out of trouble, and we can get it out on track. So it is solid, not too bad. I'm happy with the way it is as the rain starts up again. So we'll just trim that back and sort that out. Okay, so the next job in this engine bay that we need to do is give this thing an oil change, because up until the last time, or the time I had it on track, this thing had not been run in anger for almost 3 years. So I don't know what was built up in the engine, so we'll give this thing a bit of a clean out, drop the oil, put some new fresh oil, and now the oil that I will put in, thanks to Woody at FAT-AZ Performance Engine, Competition Engines. We will be using some Gulf Western Oil Comp R40 10W40. Now, this stuff is meant to be really good. That's a 20-litre drum. There is about 15 litres left in that drum, which should get us through for quite a long time. That stuff is not cheap. I had a look online. A 20-litre drum will go from anywhere from $400 to $500. So I really don't want to be wasting it. Because it's such a big drum, that's why we had to get these little things here. So we could get it into our engine. Loving this rain weather. I know it's probably hard for you guys to hear me, but loving it. I love being in Brisbane when it's raining and I don't feel like I'm about to start sweating every time it rains. It's lovely. So, oil change in there. I will attempt possibly to put new spark plugs in there as well. Because again, I don't know when the spark plugs were changed. So new plugs, new oil, and we'll get that taken care of. The next thing we need to work on is numbers for the car. Now I've spoken about this in a few different videos. We need to choose a new number because that number is currently being used. So we'll go to something different. I do have the 12 on the roof. That'll stay, that's fine. It'll just be the numbers on the sides, front, back, everywhere. We'll change those over. We'll get Josh from Josh Dremel Design to get those printed up for us. We can stick them on, that's fine. But new numbers. So I have to decide on a new number that I want to run. Okay, so this one is important. The plastic cover to the fuel tank, just there, if you can see it right there, that needs to be changed to a metal one, which can then be Sikaflexed and then screwed to the chassis of the car to stop, and if the car rolled over, stop any fuel leaks coming into the car. I have one on the way from Mish's XL Garage. It is going to be coming, it should be arriving soon. That'll be going in, so we'll get that in for the fuel tank cover, and then I also have some camber stops for the rear because when I went out last race meet, one of the rear camber bolts came loose, had massive amounts of rear camber, so to stop that we'll put some camber stops in there, and hopefully that'll solve some issues if a bolt does come loose. We won't go way over negative camber. So, fuel tank cover and camber stops. The next one is very minor. We have our toe sticker down there. There is a bit of a toe hook underneath, but I want to put a toe strap down there. I do have another toe strap, I just need to put it on the car. And I believe it's needed anyway to go racing. So we'll put that on there, and then that'll square that away. That's another little job that we can tick off our list. Okay, so this next one is probably a job that probably isn't necessary, but I want to do it for a couple of different reasons. I want to move the battery from down in the back down there and put it up the front. You may ask, why? Well, for one, I want to move it away from the fuel tank, and two, I have all this extra cabling coming all the way along here. Some of it is to the ignition box and the ignition module, but I want to get all this cabling from the battery and shorten it so there's less drain on the cable, but all that extra cable I can literally put the battery up here, which shortens our lengths of cable that we need, and that means that is less weight out of the car. Less weight out of the car, obviously, will help out dramatically, especially for me being so overweight in this car. Any little bit of weight we can get out will be really good. And as much as it's tidy to a degree, coming all the way back, I really just want to tidy it up. So that's where all this stuff comes in. So got a bunch of shrink tube there, different sizes. I won't necessarily need to put any more cable in because I can just shorten stuff that's in here. But I've got a few different eye terminals. Now these ones, when I come to do the job, I'll make a video on it, are fantastic. I'll explain why when I do the video. Got here a bit of a distribution post. Again, I'll tell you exactly why we'll be using that. And then these are some Anderson plugs. Now these are actually for thinner gauge wire, not the real heavy stuff. And because we've got thinner gauge wire, it'll make life easy. You ask, why do I need Anderson plugs for thinner gauge wire? Well, if you have a look here, if I was to open this up, pull it out. If you look how small that is there, that is so we can run some smaller cable to our battery, because not all of our battery cables need to be super big or super thick. And one of the main reasons is I'm going to run some red, obviously for you positive, and some black cable to our battery in the car, so I can just connect it up to a battery charger instead of having the alligator clips running everywhere, making life difficult. I can just plug straight into the Anderson plug because there'll be already connected to the battery, charge it up. Because the cables coming from the battery charger aren't real thick, I just need some smaller Anderson plug connections that we can use. So that's why we're going for the thinner stuff, and it'll still charge just the same, and go from there. So that's what we'll be doing if we get time. So we'll put battery relocation on our list. So that's pretty much everything we'll need to do. There is a couple of other things I want to do before we take the car out. There's a wheel alignment, so we'll put that on the list. And just square that away. So wheel alignment's the main one. And then just readjusting a few different things in the car that was great when I took it out. I just want to change some minor things, just a few adjustments like the mirror, just getting that nice and tight, things like that. But most importantly, we'll need to put some P-plates on the car, on the rear of the car, given the fact that I'll be on my provisional Motorsport Australia license, so I'll need to put that on the back of the car. Probably somewhere right around there. So that's an important one. Okay, so I'll do that as well. So other than that, we should be good to go. Should be. One thing else I'll do is I'll do a full spanner check on the car as well, make sure it's squared away. And good to go, and then we'll enter our first race meet, which is a bit of a scary thought, to be honest. Should be fun. I will be taking my other gearbox out, just as an in case. I'll take that out just to be sure that everything's all good. Hopefully we won't have to use it. Hopefully this thing stays on the stand for a little bit longer. I don't have any expectations for going out there for the race meet. I literally just want to go out and seat time, race time. If I come dead last, I come dead last. I hope I don't come dead last, but if I do, that's fine. It's really just about me getting out there and turning the wheels over and having a bit of fun. And hopefully nothing goes wrong. If it does, so be it, but fingers crossed nothing does. So, get the wheels back on this car. We'll get it up in the air because I do plan on having someone to come and look at it so I can get it logbooked and get that other part taken care of, ready for our first race meet. Other than that, should be good to go. Brake pads and everything else on that list. New tyres, everything. So, bit to do, but we'll get it taken care of. So when we get to the track, there is no issues that pop up. I don't expect there to be, but never say never. So, see how we go. Alright guys, we'll leave it there for this video. Just a quick update on what needs to be done before we take this thing out for our first race meet. I have a bit of research to do on brake pads, how we're going to adjust or fix this bar to the car, things like that. So I'm going to jump off, I'm going to go do my research, and so when it comes time to ticking all those jobs off the list, I'm not waiting around for parts, they're ready to go. So until next time guys, hopefully it won't be too long because the next video will be just getting this car ready to go. I am going out to Morgan Park this weekend for the next round of the Hi-Tech Super Series, Hi-Tech Oil Super Series out at Morgan Park. I'll be doing some filming, some videoing for the Replica Tourer Series. Now if you've never seen the Replica Tourer Series, I suggest you actually get out there and check that out because there is cars out there for rock bottom prices all the way up to expensive cars. The racing is absolutely brilliant because one of the rules is if you touch a car, you're on a trailer and you go home. So I'll be out there filming that, checking it all out, just going out for the Sunday, just for the day. And hopefully, we'll be making another video after that. I might even make a video of that. I'm talking about this series because it is actually super, super cool. And then we'll go kick on and start getting this car ready for our first race meet because I'm super stoked that we get to take this car out soon. So I'm going to make some phone calls, order some parts, get them in, ready to go, and I'll see you next time. Catch you later guys. Bye.
Knocking, boots broom on Mogley. When I pop out like Logness. Polished, briefcase, no wallet. Just blew a bag like Scotsman. Killed that. In the AM going real fast. UK honey at the drill that Pondsman. Bailed out, no conflict. Might have said I love her, but I